Wait, so imagine this. Basically upgrading the digital brain for millions of people all at once. We're really looking at a fundamental shift, I think, in how you'll interact with AI. It's not just another update. Today, we are diving deep into OpenAI's latest, their flagship, GPT-5.
That's right. And we've gone straight to the source material here, the official release notes, developer stuff, all the detailed feature breakdowns. We want to give you the full picture of what's actually new.
Yeah, exactly. And our mission really is to unpack what GPT-5 means for you. Whether you use ChatGPT every day or you're just curious about tech, or maybe you're a pro looking to use this AI stuff in your work.
Right. You should find some useful insights here. We're going to cover the core changes, some surprising new tricks it has, and what you can realistically expect from this next generation.
Get ready for some aha moments, hopefully. Because like you said, it's not just GPT 4 point something becoming GPT 5. It feels like a deeper change in how you can use AI for everything.
Absolutely. From really complex problem-solving, multi-step stuff all the way to creative expression. It's a big leap.
So let's just dive right in. The big headline seems to be this idea of GPT-5 as a unified system. What does that actually mean day to day for users?
Well, what's kind of fascinating is that GPT-5 is now the default. Like for everyone who's logged into ChatGPT, and it's rolling out pretty much everywhere, web, mobile, desktop, covers Plus, Pro, Teen, even the free plans globally. Enterprise and Edu are coming soon too.
Wow. Okay. So one model to rule them all, basically.
Sort of, yeah. They're calling it a single auto-switching system. It basically blends the best parts of the older models into this one, smart and fast experience.
Okay, that's a huge change. I remember like trying to guess, okay, do I need 4.0 for this or 0.3 for that? Sometimes I definitely got it wrong. Is that guesswork gone now?
Pretty much, yeah. This unified system is powered by what they're calling breakthrough reasoning. GPT-5 can actually, well, think more deeply.
Yeah.
It's not just spitting back info, it's reasoning through complex problems. So think really tricky code or nuanced science questions, pulling together info from different places, financial analysis.
Right, more like how an expert might connect the dots.
Exactly. It's designed to give you the best possible answer for your specific request every time without you having to second guess which model is best.
So it just knows. It knows if I need a quick answer or if it needs to go into that deeper thinking mode. That sounds pretty smart.
Yeah, it's designed to be intuitive. It automatically decides chat mode for quick stuff or thinking mode for that deeper dive based on your prompt, probably based on past interactions too, I guess. And when it is thinking, you actually see a little indicator, like a slimmed down reasoning view, so you know it's working harder.
Ah, okay. A visual cue.
Yeah, and if you're in a hurry, there's even an option like get a quick answer if you don't want to wait for the full deep thought process.
That's handy. But what about, power users? People on Plus, Pro, Team plans, do we still get manual control if we want it?
Oh, absolutely. Paid users, yeah, they keep that flexibility.
Yeah.
You can still manually pick GPT-5 or GPT-5 thinking from the model selector. And for Pro and Team users, there's even GPT-5 Thinking Pro. Takes a bit longer, apparently, but for those really complex, high-stakes tasks where you need maximum accuracy, that's the top tier.
Okay, this sounds like a really complete overhaul. And I guess it means we're saying goodbye to some familiar model names then.
We are, yeah. A whole bunch of older models are being retired. GPT 4.0, 4.1, 4.5, those
Yeah.
mini versions, 03, 03 Pro. It's quite a list. It's basically a big cleanup, simplifying the whole thing.
Wow, that is a massive streamlining. Okay, so what happens to all my old chats? My conversations that use, say, GPT 4.0, do they just break?
No, good question.
Yeah.
ChatGPT will automatically switch those old conversations over. It finds the closest GPT-5 equivalent. So like chats that use 4.0 or 4.1, they'll just open in the standard GPT-5 now. Older 03 chats, they'll probably switch to GPT-5 thinking.
And the 0.3 Pro ones for Pro Team users.
They'll switch to GPT-5 Pro. It should be pretty seamless.
Yeah.
One important note, though, because it's a new model, the outputs you get in those old conversations might be a little different than they were originally.
Okay, that makes sense. And voice mode, is that also GPT-5 now?
Oh, good point. No, voice mode still runs on GPT 4.0, at least for now. That's a key thing to remember.
Got it. So beyond just the convenience of one model, these changes, they seem to point to something deeper, right? We talked about what's new, but what's the impact? How does this change how AI behaves, especially around things like, trust and reliability?
Right. This is where it gets really interesting. OpenAI is calling GPT-5 their best AI system yet. State-of-the-art performance across the board, math, coding, writing, health, vision stuff. But I think the biggest leap, honestly, is in reliability.
You mentioned smarter, safer, more honest. How much smarter are we talking, like in practical terms?
Well, the reduction in hallucinations,
Yeah.
when the AI just makes stuff up, that's huge. In thinking mode, GPT-5 apparently makes about 80% fewer factual errors compared to O3. 80%. And even when it uses web search, it's something like 45% less likely to have a factual error than GPT-4o did with search.
Wow, 80% fewer errors. That's
Right.
that's a game changer. That addresses a huge concern people have had, right? Trusting the output.
Exactly. I mean, you can rely on it much more for accurate information.
And what about the less like talking to AI part? How does it do that? Is it just like fewer emojis?
Oh, well, partly fewer unnecessary emojis, yeah. But it's more about reducing what they call sycophancy. That's the AI being overly agreeable, trying too hard to please. GPT-5 is apparently less effusively agreeable, gives more subtle follow-ups. They said sycophantic replies dropped from around 14.5% down to under 6%. The goal, they say, is less like talking to AI and more like chatting with a helpful friend with PhD-level intelligence.
Okay, I can definitely appreciate less digital brown nosing. And safety. How does it handle tricky questions now? Does it just refuse to answer?
This is another big shift. They have a new approach called safe completions. Instead of just shutting down or giving a flat, I can't answer that, it tries to navigate the boundaries more intelligently. It might give a helpful partial answer, or maybe steer you towards safer alternatives, like suggesting you talk to a professional. Especially in areas like, say, virology or other dual-use domains, it's about being helpful within safe limits.
That sounds much more nuanced and also more honest about what it can't do, maybe, instead of just bluffing its way through.
Exactly. It's significantly better at recognizing when a task is impossible or if it's missing the tools it needs. And it tells you clearly. They give an example. O3 would confidently make up answers about images that didn't exist like 87% of the time. GPT-5, only 9% of the time. That honesty cuts down deception rates overall, too, from about 4.8% for O3 down to 2.1% for GPT-5. So you can actually trust it more when it says, I can't do that.
Okay, so more reliable, more trustworthy, more helpful overall. Let's get specific, though. How does this play out in different areas, like coding? What are developers seeing?
Right, coding. They're calling it the strongest coding model ever released. It's apparently really good at generating high-quality code, fixing bugs, editing existing code, even understanding complex code bases. It hit state-of-the-art scores on key benchmarks like 74.9% on SWBench Verified, which is tough, real-world stuff, and 88% on Aider Polyglot for multi-language tasks. These aren't small improvements.
I heard it's especially good for front-end stuff, things that need, like, an eye for design.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. In their own tests, developers preferred it 70% of the time over O3, specifically for aesthetics and code quality. They claim it can create beautiful and responsive websites, apps, and games with an eye for aesthetic sensibility in just one prompt.
Just one prompt. That's bold.
It is. They showed an example of generating a full website for a restaurant. Planning, code scaffolding, content, even error checking. Said it took about 3 minutes.
3 minutes for a whole website. Okay, that's genuinely impressive.
What about those agentic tasks, the ones that need multiple steps, complex decisions? AI usually struggles there. Yeah, that's been a bottleneck. But GPT-5 seems to make real progress here. It excels at what they call long-running agentic tasks. Hit state-of-the-art on a telecom benchmark, 2bench, with 96.7%. The key seems to be its improved tool intelligence. It can apparently chain together dozens of tool calls one after another or even in parallel without getting lost.
Oh, so it doesn't just, like, forget what it was doing halfway through.
Apparently not. And it handles errors in those tool calls much better. It's also more proactive. It can tackle big tasks without needing you to constantly say, okay, do the next step. It can even give you plans, updates, summaries as it goes. Think of it like a pretty capable virtual project manager.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for me and probably a lot of listeners. Creative stuff, writing. Does it still feel a bit generic sometimes?
They're calling it the most capable writing collaborator yet. Seems it's much better at taking a rough idea and turning it into something, compelling, writing with literary depth and rhythm.
Hmm.
And importantly, it handles structural ambiguity better. Things like unrhymed iambic pentameter or free verse poetry where the rules aren't so fixed. Older models often stumbled there.
Do you have a concrete example, something that really shows the difference?
Yeah, they shared a really striking one. They compared poems written by GPT-4o and GPT-5 about a widow in Kyoto finding her late husband's socks. The GPT-4o poem was fine, competent, predictable structure, hit the theme okay. But the GPT-5 version, it had lines like, Black flags of a country that no longer exists and a door that opens only when you stop knocking.
Wow, okay, that's different.
Right. Much stronger emotional impact, really vivid imagery, striking metaphors. It elevates it from just competent writing to something genuinely moving, more insightful. It really feels like a step towards actual literary collaboration.
That is a powerful difference. Moving beyond just correct to something maybe even profound. Okay, outside creativity, what about health? That's super sensitive.
Yeah, critical area. They're
Oh.
saying GPT-5 is the best model yet for health-related questions. Scored much higher on HealthBench, which is a medical Q&A benchmark. It acts more like an active thought partner. It doesn't just give an answer. It might flag concerns, ask you clarifying questions to give a more helpful response.
But still, with the big disclaimer, right, it's not a doctor.
Absolutely crucial reminder, yes. ChatGPT does not replace a medical professional.
Mm.
It's positioned as a tool to help you understand results, maybe figure out better questions to ask your actual doctor. It's about being a more informed patient.
Got it. Good distinction. And economically,
Yep.
what about like professional knowledge work? Is it making inroads there?
Big time. This is where you see potentially huge shifts. On complex, high-value knowledge tasks, GPT-5 is apparently performing at or even better than human experts in about half the cases studied. Think about that. It's outperforming O3 across more than 40 different job types: law, logistics, sales, engineering.
So it's not just faster, it's actually reaching expert level quality in many areas.
To roughly half the cases they tested, yeah. It's a fundamental change for professionals. And efficiency-wise, it's doing this better work using fewer resources.
Yeah.
GPT-5, especially with thinking mode, performs better than O3, but uses 50–80% less output tokens. More value, less compute.
And the context window. How much info can it handle at once now?
That's also massively improved. The API version can handle a total context length of 400,000 tokens. That's 272,000 for input and 128,000 for its own reasoning and output. It's roughly like feeding it a 300-page book and having it understand and work with all that information simultaneously. Allows for really deep analysis.
Huge capacity. Okay, so it's smarter, faster, more accurate. But AI can still feel a bit, impersonal. Are they doing anything to make the experience feel more tailored?
They are. This is where the new customization stuff comes in. They're launching a research preview, so it's still experimental with 4 new preset personalities. You can choose cynic, sarcastic, dry, blunt, robot precise, efficient, no emotion, listener warm, laid back, reflective, or nerd playful, curious, loves knowledge.
Huh. Okay, I like the sound of those, so I can finally get a sarcastic chat GPT.
If you opt in, yeah, you choose it in settings. It's designed to let you match the AI's communication style to your own preference or task.
That's pretty cool. Do these personalities work in voice mode too?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Important note.
Yeah.
These personalities don't apply to voice mode currently, but sticking with personalization, they did add accent colors. A fun little visual tweak.
Accent colors, like for the chat bubbles.
Yeah, chat bubbles, the voice button, highlighted text. You can pick a color in settings just to make the interface feel a bit more yours. Small touch, but nice.
Definitely. And speaking of voice mode, any improvements there? It's such a natural way to interact sometimes.
Yes, significant improvements rolling out. They want to make it more accessible, more useful. And it now works with custom GPTs, which is great. Access is expanded too. Near unlimited use for Plus users, and even free users get hours each day now.
Oh, wow. That's a big jump for free users.
Yeah. And they're simplifying things too. The old standard voice mode is being retired in about 30 days. Everyone gets unified onto the latest voice experience. Plus, for paid users, voice can now adapt based on your instructions, things like speaking speed, tone, length, more control over how it sounds.
Very cool. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. For the developers listening, how does GPT-5 look on the API side? What are the options for building with it?
Right. Developers. GPT-5 is also out on the API platform. And interestingly, it comes in 3 sizes. GPT-5, the main one, GPT-5 Mini, and GPT-5 Nano. This gives the devs flexibility, right? They can choose based on whether they need peak performance or maybe lower cost or faster latency for their specific app.
So GPT-5 in the API is the full power reasoning model.
Yes, exactly. Those API versions, GPT-5, Mini, Nano, are the reasoning models, the ones that power the maximum performance you see in ChatGPT's thinking mode. The quicker non-reasoning version used for standard chat in ChatGPT, that's available in the API too as GPT-5 Chat Latest.
And this is rolling out across Microsoft's platforms too, right? Copilot and all that.
Yeah, it's being integrated pretty broadly. Microsoft 365 Copilot, the regular Copilot, GitHub Copilot, Azure AI Foundry, making it accessible in enterprise and dev environments.
Any new knobs or dials for developers in the API? More ways to control the output.
Yes, a couple of really interesting new parameters. First one is called verbosity. You can set it to low, medium, or high.
Hmm.
This basically helps steer the default length of GPT-5's answers. Now, if you explicitly ask for, say, a 5-paragraph essay in your prompt, that instruction still wins. But verbosity sets a baseline.
Okay, can you give an example? How would verbosity change an answer?
Sure, let's say you ask, why is the sky blue? With verbosity low, you might get a super concise answer, just mentioning Rayleigh scattering. Medium might add more detail, like why we see blue instead of violet, maybe mention sunsets. And high could go even deeper, talking about haze, polarization, maybe even what a sky without an atmosphere would look like. It lets devs tune the default level of detail for their app.
That sounds incredibly useful. What's the second new parameter?
It's called reasoning effort. We had low, medium, high before, but now you can also set it to minimal. This basically lets you ask for faster answers, potentially trading off a bit of quality or depth, so developers can really fine-tune that balance. Speed versus thoroughness. Minimal effort for quick responses, high effort for complex calculations.
Got it. And you mentioned custom tools earlier. What's that about?
Yeah, this is a new tool type. It lets GPT-5 call external tools using just plain text inputs, instead of needing perfectly formatted JSON every time. The big benefit: it cuts down on errors, especially with long inputs, because you don't have to worry about escaping characters perfectly, makes integrating tools more robust, less fiddly for developers.
Okay, makes sense. So let's bring it back to the everyday user. Let's talk usage limits, subscription tiers. What can people actually expect in terms of how much they can use GPT-5?
Right, the practical limits.
Yeah.
For the free tier, you get up to 10 messages using the main GPT-5 model every 5 hours. If you hit that limit, your chats will automatically switch to a smaller mini version until the 5 hours are up and it resets. Free users also get one GPT-5 thinking message per day for those really deep questions.
Okay, 10 messages every 5 hours for free. What about ChatGPT Plus?
Plus, users get a higher limit, up to 80 messages using GPT-5 every 3 hours. Same deal, if you hit the limit, it switches to a mini version temporarily. Now, if you manually choose GPT-5 thinking mode, there's a separate limit of 200 of those messages per week.
Ah, okay. But what if GPT-5 automatically switches to thinking mode because my prompt was complex? Does that count against the 200?
Good question. No, it doesn't. The automatic switching to thinking mode does not count against that weekly limit. So you still benefit from the deeper reasoning without burning through that specific allowance.
Okay, that's important. And the top tiers, Pro and Team. Is it really unlimited?
They're marketed as offering unlimited access to the GPT-5 models, yes, but that's always subject to OpenAI's standard abuse guardrails and terms of use. So, no automated scraping, no account sharing, no reselling access, that kind of thing. And Enterprise and Edu plans, when they fully roll out, will also have generous default limits set up for organizations.
Right. So GPT-5 is here. It's this unified system. It thinks smarter, writes better, codes better, even has optional personalities. It really does feel like more than just an incremental update.
Yeah, it's a significant leap, I think. In intelligence, how easy it is to use, how you can personalize it, a new baseline for what accessible AI can do.
So here's the thought to leave people with. As these incredibly smart, customizable AI models become our sort of default digital partners,
Yeah.
how does that change things? How will it transform the way we learn, the way we solve problems, maybe even how we express ourselves creatively, in the coming months and years? Does our whole process shift?
It really does raise some profound questions, doesn't it? About human AI, collaboration, creativity, knowledge work. The possibilities are, well, pretty immense.
Definitely something to think about. We really encourage you to dive in, try out GPT-5 for yourself, see how these breakthroughs feel firsthand, and figure out how they might reshape your own digital world.